I asked Solomon, what was the first day that we met as a task force? And it was April 6th of this year. Do you know how rare that is to have something completed in the county within a year? Each and every one of you have contributed to making the recommendation that you have before you a work that we can move forward on. Hopefully the Board of Supervisors, with Supervisor Hahn's leading, will move this forward to be approved by the Board of Supervisors, and we will get to work. And we will be bringing our loved ones home, because that's why we are here today. And I want to, again, thank you all for being here. We started in April, as I said before, and we have asked for your input, your involvement, your time, and we've asked for your appetites as well. And opportunity to have treats along the way. We thank you for that. The report that you're going to review today has 17 recommendations, many of which that you gave specific language to. So that's why I said it's very important that each of you were here at this table. I do want to thank as well my staff, Rich and Solomon. They have done this with their in addition to our team, Veronica Sagala, who you will hear from a little bit later. But we would be nowhere without the help of USC. And Adria, where are you, Adria? Okay. Making sure that we all have a role in the presentation and the recommendation. So it's been our honor to shepherd this process, Workforce Development Agency and Community Services, WEDAX, and I would be remiss if I did not thank Supervisor Hahn for moving this important effort forward. She is the catalyst for bringing this all here. She understands that this was something that needed to be addressed and had to be addressed at the Board of Supervisors level. And with her, we all joined with her to make sure that in the future that we will bring our loved ones home. And I am thankful for her to make sure that she is making this happen. To her staff, Mark and others, I want to thank you as well. We also have a representative from Supervisor Barber's office, Michelle Vega, who was a co-author of the motion. And we are here to really celebrate and to go through the work that you have done over the last several months. With that, I'd like to introduce to you Supervisor Hahn, who has a few comments.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Cynthia Banks for your leadership, the staff, for shepherding this. That's a great term for big projects in the county of Los Angeles. You need someone to shepherd them through, and I really appreciate you taking this on with such encouragement and support. And as you said, bring it to a conclusion quicker than most task force and reports that are commissioned in the county of Los Angeles. And I want to thank Mark Bockham on my staff for being the one who also helped to shepherd this on my behalf. And thank you to each and every one of you on this task force. It took a lot of your own time. You're all, I'm sure, extremely busy people, and yet you found the time to meet, to really study this issue, and to come back with some recommendations that I think are important. But really, we're here because of Nancy Davis. That's why we're here. And when I first got elected, right, that was one of the first things that came to me was Nancy missing. And actually, Mark and I went to your home shortly after I got elected to sit down with you, Kirk, and George and your wife, Nancy's parents, to hear firsthand what they were going through, what they were experiencing, and we haven't found Nancy yet. But they have spent every day for the last 14 months trying to find her. And I'm sure there's not a day that goes by, or a night, that they are not consumed with the fact of finding Nancy. And through their family, I began to realize that how ill-prepared we are in the county of Los Angeles to handle this issue of wandering adults or wandering children with autism. So I knew it was a problem, and I realized that there was no coordination, there was no protocol, there was no communication between departments and different cities and counties. There really was no system to support a family like Nancy's, who were desperate, trying to find her, and took it upon themselves to visit, 10 new nursing homes every day. Continue to call, counties and transportation systems and law enforcement agencies, and the coroner on a regular basis. And watching them go through that, I felt like we could do better. We could do better as the County of Los Angeles. And it's our core mission, right? Our core mission in the county is to make sure people don't fall through any crack that may exist. We are a safety net in the County of Los Angeles. We do nothing else. We have to always remember we're a safety net. We're there for people who have reached the end of their rope financially, emotionally, mentally, physically, or have a problem so burdensome and so severe that it's impossible to do it without some help and support. And that's why I came to Cynthia, that's why I came to all of you, let's create a blueprint for how our county could address the problem of those who wander away from their loved ones and ultimately bring them home. And I loved it that you decided to name yourselves Bringing Our Loved Ones Home Task Force. I think that just says it all and gives such a sense of your mission, what you were striving to do every time you came together. And I really appreciate that. And I know this was a heavy lift to say, figure this out. We can do better, figure it out. But I'm incredibly impressed. I really am by the work that this task force has done over, is it true, only 10 meetings? That's incredible. And with the recommendations that you have developed are thoughtful, are sincere, and I think actually doable, and actually will make a huge difference going forward to families everywhere. Your work has not gone unnoticed. I hope all of you saw SoCal Connected on KCET, which chronicled everything Kurt is going through. And they expressed a lot of hope that this task force ability to address these problems was important and real. Your work was also featured in an article in the Daily Breeze. So the word really got out that this task force existed. And you know what? I talked about this in my very first State of the County address. And I talked about a lot of things in the State of the County, from transportation to the homeless to health care. And I talked about Nancy, and I talked about this task force. And I will tell you what resonated with people in that mostly boring speech, or no offense to my speechwriter, but I always say, who's listening to these things? This resonated with people. You know why? Because everyone probably has someone somewhere in their family that this exact thing has happened to. Or they could see it happening to someone in their family. And everyone, if you get you're old enough, you're going to take care of your parents. or you maybe have a child that has these tendencies, and it's going to happen. And the fear and the anxiety I think that people go through when they face that prospect of them being responsible or a caregiver being responsible is enormous. And I think people really appreciated that you were doing this work. You've accomplished something incredible here. This final report gives recommendations for how we can tackle this problem from all sides. Coordinate massive county agencies, law enforcement when someone goes missing. Use the latest technology to try to help caretakers and rescue efforts. And better educate caregivers and the public at large about this problem and what they can do to help prevent it. I appreciate the section on the pilot program for Project Lifesaver bracelets. That was the idea that caught my attention. I think I talked about it in the very first task force meeting. When I heard the statistics in Glendale of how successful it was, I felt like that was something one day we should offer residents in LA County. So I'm going to take this blueprint to the Board of Supervisors and put it into action. There's a lot of work ahead, but the report you created, the blueprint you have laid out is a pathway and a framework for how we can bring our loved ones home and prevent them from being gone missing in the first place. This is truly a landmark achievement, not just for LA County, but I think for cities and counties across the country. I always think LA County is a model for everything. You name it an issue, and I think we're the model. And I think this gives us an opportunity to be a model county on this particular issue, because it's certainly not limited to LA County. We know people all over this country are also facing this problem. So thanks again, Cynthia, for your leadership, for your shepherding. Thank you to everyone, and we still hope we find Nancy. We still hope we find Nancy. But in the meantime, we hope that what Kirk, you have shown us and lived for us will make a difference in a lot of people's lives, and that they won't have to go through what you've gone through this past 14 months. And if we can do that, then maybe we'll have this much peace. So, thank you.
I just wanted to also do some acknowledgments this afternoon. Again, this has been really turned out to be a real labor of love for all of us here. When I first received this assignment, I can tell you, I felt like a deer in headlights. Actually, not that. I was a deer underneath the car. That's how I felt. With all the responsibilities that we have. But quickly I learned that this is such a critical project, which such impact, it provides such impact to the county. So I knew that this is really something that I could tell my grandchildren in years to come that this is something that we made an impact here in the county. So I just really wanted to thank again Supervisor Hahn for your vision. This has been an amazing experience for me, for the team here. Cynthia, again, thank you for your leadership. Without you, and also without you bringing on Adria, this has been a much more complex task. So thank you for that. But again, to the task force, you guys are the ones that made this report happen. My goodness, it's been an incredible experience, learning experience for all of us. But again, without your expertise, none of this would have been able to happen, especially in this 10-month period that we're talking about. So again, thank you all so much for your efforts. So, like Cynthia said, we're going to go over this report page by page because we do not want to leave any stone unturned. Because of the fact that we've gone through this process so quickly, we've had so many, these moments where, oh my gosh, we forgot this, we forgot that. So, it's been a continual editing experience. Every day we have some additional, really critical points that we need to include in this report. So, with that said, this is a final draft, but we still would like the opportunity for you guys to review this report and provide some final feedback, before we present it to the board. So, any questions before we proceed? Okay, so we do have a PowerPoint presentation here for you. However, I would also actually recommend that we follow along with the presentation with the actual report itself. So, go ahead. Just quick background, I think at the last meeting we already discussed exactly how we got here, right? We put task force meetings together. We've had a total, what is it, 11 meetings? It's 10 or 11 meetings. 9 meetings? 10 meetings. 10 meetings since we started here. We created a BOLOH website. I'm sure you've all seen it by now. It's a very critical website. It's something that we want to expand on as we move forward with this process. Again, we brought over our academic research partner, Dr. Navarro. Again, excellent work. Thank you so much. And really, I think for us, the most critical piece of this report was putting those work group discussions together. Those were such fruitful discussions that really provided, the momentum for our strategies and our recommendations that we're presenting today. So thank you. And again, one thing I wanted to add to is that coming from the APS world of elder abuse, it's, you kind of feel kind of overwhelmed because there's really, as much as you do, as much as the policies that you revise, there's always going to be crime, and you're not going to do the crime. But with this particular project, I think that there is an end game in mind. We can solve this problem. With the resources that we put together, the teamwork, this could be something that we can resolve in LA County. So again, hopefully we'll be the model for the state, not the whole country. Let's proceed. All right, so let's go over really quickly the accomplishments that we've had with this task force since the very beginning. I think it's really, even if, let's say for some crazy, let's say the board does not approve this particular initiative, this 3-year initiative. I think what we've done in the past 10 months has provided a real foundation for the work that needs to be done in the future. For instance, the enhanced communication and coordination. Just the mere fact that we've been dialoguing, talking about these issues. I think we've already solved some particular issues. We're definitely communicating better. The coordination is there. We have 2 of the most dedicated and committed individuals who are working in law enforcement. LASD with Lieutenant Gannon and Detective Soto with LAPD. Such great hands with these 2 gentlemen, and we need to do whatever we can to keep their particular unit staffed, okay? Because that's the only way that we can really help resolve this problem. So yes, definitely we've been able to enhance our communication. We've already started to create this infrastructure of coordination, this network that we talked about. We've also provided tangible products because of this task force. Specifically, we created, thanks to Lieutenant Gannon and his spearheading of the law enforcement checklist, something that we'll talk about a little later on in this presentation, and also Adria with her work with the checklist for diligence scripts for the hospital. So that's something that's tangible products that we provided, and it's effective, that they can utilize right away. So, of course, enhanced awareness, not only from the sense of the public. I don't know if you've noticed, but whenever I go to county offices or meetings, people are talking about BOLOH. People know about BOLOH. It's interesting, and hopefully the website has helped with that outreach and awareness within LA County, but also interdisciplinary awareness. I think we all now are better aware of what the roles and limitations of each department has within this process. So I think that's really critical. The question marks, all these questions that we've had prior to this meeting, prior to this task force, I feel have been answered. So I think that's really great progress. And to a degree, I think more industry impact. In the different, right, what I mean by that is I think we have impacted the industry in terms of the different resources that we're trying to utilize to make this process work. Thanks to India, She did her research, she's been working directly with a lot of agencies that provide databases, monitoring services and systems, training, as well as outreach. Those are all things that all agencies that we've been working with very closely in the past 7-8 months. And what we've found is that they're willing to tailor their programs to fit the needs of LA County. City of LA County is a big city, and we know a big county. And it has needs, right? It has specialized needs. And these vendors, contractors, they're willing to adjust their programs in order to fit the needs of LA County. So we're really thankful for that. Next slide. So just really want to recap where we've been since the last meeting. Really quickly, as you know, we did revise the report since our last meeting. We sent it back out to you guys on 11/28 for further feedback and for final review with a return date of 12/5. So we did receive your feedback. Thank you very much. We've incorporated to the extent possible all of your feedback, so we hope that's reflected in the report today. Additionally, we have also, since the last meeting, in addition to the revisions to the actual document, we have also included our funding recommendations for each of the strategies within the report, as well as the global initiative timeline. So that's something that we really want to review very closely as we proceed with reviewing the report itself. We also have, we've been really busy. We're not standing around. We had a meeting with Reagan, and then know that Soria is here. And Adrian, I don't know if you want to address that really quickly, our meeting with Reagan.
Well, we have learned that about ReadyNet, being an emergency communication network that's already up and is what hospitals and care facilities currently use. It's sort of a real-time go-to database that exists. So in our technology section, we talk about technology, and actually there's a new module coming out January, so very soon. And Soraya Peters and Rosie were able to demonstrate for us the capabilities to have a proactive registry within that. Long-term care facilities are in there. Messaging is available to all those different providers, how you want to tailor it. We were very excited, you can tell. So there's a lot of potential, and I just was so pleased that Soraya could come today. If anyone wants more information, it's very nice to sit there and see the demo. In real time, we watch the Silmar filers were going on, and so all of a sudden, hospitals would go into version, and it would flash up and tell us, can't go there. So you're familiar with looking at ReadyNet, but anyway, as of January 1st, is it?
LA County hospitals would have.
All the LA County hospitals have. So it's something worth looking at to grow. So I think it fits really well into our plan. So we'll continue to partner.
So what does that mean if somebody goes missing what?
So right now the process is that LAPD or the Sheriff contact Medical Alert Center, which is called MAP within the county, and they report the individual's information, and they write that, and they send a message across. And this message can go anywhere from LA County to all of the counties in California.
Oh.
So ReadyNet allows them to select all of the LEMSAs, which is local emergency medical services, to receive this information. So that includes all hospitals, long-term care, fire departments.
That's great.
So that's the policy right now.
Good.
And the additional component that we're very, very excited about is the fact that it also can serve as a registry. So family members can register their loved ones.
So they need,
Proactive.
yeah. So mass casualty incidents like San Bernardino shooting, the Metrolink, they use mass casualty incident, MCI, and ReadyNet. We always know who the patients and the injured are. We created this family reunification center, which allows you to reunite families and patients instead of running around at every hospital that we saw at Metrolink to try to find their loved ones. We can register missing people. We can register unaccompanied minors. We can register people who call call and say, I'm looking for someone in case that person is found later. We've been trying to be proactive with this to re-register, pre-register people with Alzheimer's, any sort of mental health and autism, etc. Pre-register, so you have the pictures,
Now, is
fingerprints.
that something one of our county departments or, could encourage?
Yes,
That's something we could do.
Yes.
Encourage the pre-registry of
yes, we can do
the
that.
seniors. Yeah, we should do that.
We really wanted photos, and it holds up to six.
Six per person.
Photos, which I was like, holy grail. Yeah.
Right.
I think the best part of the supervisor is the fact that the costs are incredibly low. So that's something that we
This
we
is
need to,
fantastic.
yeah, it's something that we need to explore.
Yeah, this is good. Okay.
Moving on, as I mentioned earlier, again, you mind talking about the checklist and the distribution that we've been doing?
So the checklist is a working tool for law enforcement to ensure that we don't miss steps, and a lot of new things were added that most cops on the street probably didn't even know were resources, and that all came about from input from everybody here, especially thank you, Sam. He has a great amount of feedback. There's not a patrol with all the alert centers that they operate in Sacramento. We combine it all into usable tools for all cops in the field countywide to use to make sure they don't miss any steps. I know there was some talk, I missed the one meeting where apparently there was some talk about the length of the checklist, so to that I would simply ask, which steps do you wish for us to skip when it's your level? So, as a result, I noticed nobody was willing to take any off, so I appreciate that because I don't want to miss any of them either. In fact, we ended up adding a few. So since the last meeting, I put it out to 120 of our detective supervisors on the department and received a tremendous amount of feedback, very positive. They appreciate the work we've all done. And they said that it's been a long time. I got multiple feedback saying it's a long time overdue for something like this. So very good. The one feedback I got came from a missing woman and elderly woman in Malibu recently. And they had to use the Alert LA procedures and the press. And there was some missteps. Apparently they hadn't notified their city manager. Some council people weren't aware. You've got these reverse 911 calls happening. And critical city leaders don't know what's going on. So based on that, what is referred to as our page 48, you'll see some others in the draft right now. We are replacing all those others with the procedures that would have fixed what happened in Malibu. So it's basically 5 or 6 steps to do with Alert LA. So we appreciate that opportunity to make sure it was tightened up.
Also, I wanted to mention that going back to what we were talking about, how the communication and coordination, just from the mere fact of putting us together. Detective Soto, could you please share your experience recently with the one client that you had talked about?
Sure. I've already had the opportunity to thank Mr. Moody for bringing this to our attention earlier, but I would like to thank him again before the group. Shortly before the end of last month, Mr. Moody had been in contact with a convalescent home here in the city of Los Angeles. And in his discussion with the administrator there, they did in fact have a patient at their hospital that was unidentified. And as well, Mr. Moody had placed the administrator in the facility in contact with me. And sadly, we were somewhat surprised to learn that she had been there since 2011, unidentified. So, of course, we set out to immediately identify her, which thankfully we were able to do. She, fortunately, was not a current missing person, but she has been previously reported missing. So, again, I'd like to thank Kirk Moody for bringing that to our attention. In speaking with the administrator there at the facility, they had done their own somewhat of an investigation to try to get her identified. However, for whatever reason, they never contacted us. And so we certainly, this is a situation and concern that we've all been aware of with my unit, the missing persons unit in LA, and we're certainly hoping that this task force can assist us in correcting that situation.
Thank you so much, Detective.
So just, if was it a woman? Was it a woman?
Yes.
So if she had, there was a photo of her and could potentially, if that had been done right, she would have, we could have cross-checked in this ReadyNet.
The protocols in place that the
Yeah.
facilities were aware of.
Yeah,
And that's good to know.
yeah, wow. Okay.
So probably not, actually. So
Oh,
this
no.
is-
Okay,
So it's a residential care facility, not a nursing home.
Yeah.
okay.
So they're probably not going to be plugged into ReadyNet, is that right, Mr. Ryan?
Wait,
It's
so-
unlikely they'd be aware of that. So I've been there a couple of times, and I actually asked them, you know, this is one of those places where they say, well, we don't have any Jane Does.
Right.
When you say, well, okay, how about misidentified or something like that. So we got that answer from them. And then she wrote me an email later on, or called, I can't remember to tell you the truth. She said, oh, she emailed. She says, well, I do have somebody that we found on the beach, basically, and we know her as, was it Maria?
Maria.
And what do I do with that? I said, well, gee, I might want to talk to the LAPD missing persons.
Right.
And, you know, you're kind of shocked. Like you said, 2011, that never had not occurred to them. So I don't think the ReadyNet would actually work in that. And I don't think that she went to a hospital in order to get to that nursing home. It is kind of interesting to find out, I wonder how they paid for it. So what that task is, I don't know the answer.
This development that we are talking about, adding the 6 pictures, capturing
Yes.
the missing person. You
That's
have a
what I'm saying.
picture of her ring, you have a picture of her
Yeah.
tattoo. It would allow them to go into a database, not that it does exist today. We are talking about developing
I'm
this
talking
together.
about,
Yes, it will. And Kirk is correct. Today,
Right.
the
That's
long,
what I meant. Yeah.
long-term care facilities have access to that in that for messaging, for assessment, for other things, but not for the missing.
I see.
But it can become part of state policy.
Yes.
As we look at policy development for the
Excellent.
future, if once they acquire their license, they will
Yeah.
have
Excellent.
to participate in ReadyNet or whatever system we develop.
Excellent.
That's all we need, is the
Stay
contact.
Yeah.
As soon as they reach out to us, and we know that that person needs to be identified,
Yeah.
because sadly, we have hundreds of cases here in LA. We'll set out, and in this case in particular, she had been through the system already, and we identified her through fingerprints. And that's all we need, is the contact. Once we have that information that there's somebody out there, we have good contact with our major hospitals, and don't have them with these types of facilities.
Okay.
So with regards to that, we could make that a recommendation.
Yes. I was going to say, it'd be nice if there were some definite, like, law policy changes that we need to dispatch our LA County legislative team to work with somebody in Sacramento, a lawmaker, to carry this legislation that would set policy for all licensing of, yes.
Residential care.
Yes, what things are going to take, state law, county ordinance, that'll, we take on the federal government team. Yeah, but that would be nice in your recommendations if you pointed us in the direction of, if it was going to take some legislation.
Well, we've had discussions with long-term care ombudsman, who's familiar with the situation. These are the type of gaps that we
Yeah.
can close, you know,
Yeah.
and that's what this initiative is,
Right.
built to do. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we're going to do.
And we know lawmakers, I'm sure, that represent LA County, that would be happy to carry this type of legislation.
Any questions before we move along with the report review?
I have a comment. This is an example of a situation that might occur over time. So what do we have in place when we come up with recommendations to ensure that there is a way to bring those issues forward so we can, on a basis, can improve our system? Do we have, or
I
plan to
believe that
have
would fall
something?
under our strategy A3, which is the coordination and communications protocol.
Okay.
This would not just be for LA County. This would be for protocols for long-term care facilities,
Mhm.
emergency care facilities, anything, anything that's related to this population.
Yeah, I'm talking about new things arising, as new things develop, and they are related.
Yeah, how do we update?
With that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm assuming this professors will meet annually.
Well, one of the recommendations is to have a body that.
Correct, that's correct.
And so through that body and through,
Yeah,
as things move
Yeah.
forward, we would sort of have to work
Yeah.
together, or representatives
Yeah.
from the individuals.
I like
From the agencies
Yeah.
that sit here.
I think that's right.
Steering committee, that's
Yeah.
right. And we'll be going over that, that's action strategy A1. And we're probably looking at the steering committee right here, so they'll be involved, whether they like it or not, they'll be involved in the future.
Yes, I would suggest that we go through, I would just take one strategy and ask if there are questions rather than going to each one. And then we could ask for feedback on strategy.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, then we will go ahead and turn to page 12. This would be the priority strategy A1, enhanced coordination, creating capacity for interagency collaboration, coordination, and implementation of the BOLOH initiative. So the recommendation would be contingent upon available funding, establish a unit with the lead agency, WDAX, that will plan and lead the implementation of 17 representative strategies that we discussed, in collaboration with key agencies and stakeholders. And the description below provides basically what the functions of that particular unit would be. And as mentioned, the steering committee, oversight of that committee will be one of the main functions. Of course, developing the proposal on specific tasks with budgetary requirements is the other critical piece, and probably the first piece that we'll need to address. Also, the interagency and interprofessional coordination of efforts to ensure strategic outcomes are met with recommended BOLOH initiative timeframe. So, in addition to the steering committee, we're also talking about the multidisciplinary teams. Putting teams together to discuss particular incidents of wandering, incidents where law enforcement is needing assistance, and from the task members and the steering committee to help resolve these issues. So that's pretty much the functions of the proposed unit. So any questions about this particular unit or this strategy?
Would it be debriefing also part of the role of this debriefing after the fact? What worked, what didn't work, what can be done differently?
Yeah, sure, that would be part of the steering
Okay.
committee as well as the MET as well. So as you can see under the funding section, this is something that, again, the WDAX would be working on to identify the funding needs for this particular strategy. No other questions on that? Comments?
So basically, and this is what I'm going to have to sell to my colleagues, right?
Right.
But, so basically the idea is, you came up with all this, there is a lot in here. There is a lot moving forward of implementing this stuff, coordinating this stuff, making sure it's happening, and the recommendation is we need like a unit that full-time is devoted to, making LA County the place where we can bring loved ones home.
And prevention.
And prevention. And we need bodies to do that on a permanent basis.
Yes.
Yeah. Because no one right now department or department head could actually implement
It's a coordination,
this. Yeah,
it's a training,
yeah,
it's looking at the policy piece, it's looking at the reaching out, it's all of those things.
yeah.
A lot of integration needs to happen. There's so much good work happening, but, for example, ReadyNet, we didn't learn about that till quite late in the game here.
Yeah.
There's just so much good work that needs to be connected to in such a big county. We
Yeah.
need some group that continues to learn who these people are. And then we've even had emails when people have gone missing already that connect with, talk to this, you can just see
Yeah.
gonna take lives.
Right.
And if I just might,
Yeah.
we also want to always bear in mind, and I know we do, that there are differences between the Asian population and the autism population,
Yes.
notably, age.
Yeah.
And that we may run into issues about minors and their photographs and so forth, that we have to be sure to do our due diligence on that and make sure we capture that at-risk population as well, so to speak.
Good point. And does the report give a number of people that would be in this unit? What that you're recommending?
Actually, I believe that's part of this strategy, is that UDEX would be working toward identifying the.
That and fund and food
What
development,
would
yeah.
be the appropriate funding?
Yeah.
Based on the staffing. level.
Right, okay.
And based upon whether or not we have all staff in place at the beginning,
Yeah,
or we phase it.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. And I think that, again, we're all going to have to sell that, right? Because anything that has funding attached to it, we have to sell it. But I see it as, again, I see it as imperative to implement what you've been doing. I also see it as that becomes this unit that will be studied and modeled, and you're going to have internships of people who are wanting to, hey, can I just come spend, a summer working with you, or hey, I've got a couple weeks here, can I come and work with this unit and then take it back to my city? And I see it being a really valuable entity besides implementing the recommendations, as being a place where others will want to work there for a while, learn there for a while, and then take it back to their different entities. I think it's going to be incredible. It's going to be one of the most interesting units. Yeah, that's what you said, units, but I get what you're saying. Okay.
Moving along, page 13. Page 13, we have strategy A2, which is also a priority strategy. Identification of BOLOH initiative liaisons. So speaking of low-hanging fruit, this is a really simple one that we should be able to implement fairly quickly. Any questions regarding this recommendation of identifying liaisons within key departments? Okay, great. Moving on to strategy A3, coordination and communication protocols. Authorize UDEX to develop and implement communication protocols among all three agencies and their liaisons. Develop strategies for media notification and collaboration, as well as strategies for social media outreach and advocacy on all wandering incidents. Questions or concerns regarding this strategy? I think this is what we were referring to as creating this network of support for not only law enforcement, but for families and for agencies that are key first responders that work in these types of situations. So, this particular strategy does not have any funding associated to that, so that should be an easy one to pass through. But UDEX would take the lead on this particular one. And yes, any other comments or questions on this?
I just would always suggest that under the social media piece, and just the media piece, right? There's a lot of really smart social media folks, certainly on the 8th floor, supervisor's office, some better than others. I think mine are the best. Well, I'm just thinking, hopefully you will reach out and maybe, again, on a hey, go to, WEDEX for a while and help them work on this strategy. I think there's more than obviously on the 8th floor. Yeah, let them, let them give you some ideas. I don't know how social media works, but I know they do.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
And they have, they have good media notification lists. And every board office has, when we do a press release, they have the contacts, they have the notification, they know how to push send and get response.
Great. Moving along, we have priority strategy. Priority strategy 84, which I discussed earlier, is the BOLOH multidisciplinary team meetings. And again, this would be something that would be led by LEDAX, and also is cost neutral as far as we understand. And LEDAX has a lot of experience with these type of NDT multidisciplinary teams. We work very closely with the county Morgan Center. So this is definitely in our bailiwick, and I think this will be something that will be very helpful in really resolving a lot of these person issues. So, any questions or concerns about this? I have a little note on here that we don't necessarily have to have a face-to-face meeting when it comes to these multidisciplinary meetings. We could definitely go a lot more high-tech. We can do Skype call-ins, just so it'll be more palatable for people to come in and actually get involved in these type of meetings. Any questions? All right, moving on. Priority strategy 85, and this is law enforcement investigational checklist. And as we already discussed, this is something that again has been spearheading, and we've already pretty much completed this, but it's an ongoing project. There's always room for improvement, right? I'm not sure if there's any value in automating this particular checklist, but that's something that we want to consider.
The purpose of being low tech.
Yeah.
We'll have both options.
Okay.
So it's in Appendix B, but we will be updating it with
Thank you.
the most current.
Thank you. Questions or concerns? All right. Moving along, another priority strategy, that will be A6 on page 15, hospital diligence search checklist. Direct DHS to provide leadership in collaboration with DMH and DPH in the development of best practices for identifying vulnerable children and adults that have gone missing. Questions, concerns, comments on this one? Also something that should be funding neutral. Again, DHS, we hope will be taking the lead on this with assistance from DMH and Public Health.
I would add that the Hospital Association of Southern California has been very helpful in the policy for underrepresented patients, but so it kind of overlaps slightly, but there might be some possibility of working with PASC to get the word out on the hospitals as well. Right now, social workers create their own little list and they're asked to figure this out, so we think we can do some training and really help enhance your system.
Okay, moving along. Okay, this actually takes us to the next domain, which is technology solutions. So the first strategy under that is an priority strategy. It is Project Lifesaver Tracking Pilot Study. And basically the recommendation is that the Sheriff's Department go forward with the purchase of equipment and take all necessary action to participate in the Project Lifesaver program. Also, we want to approve a budget of $20,000 for the sheriffs to join the Project Lifesaver program as a member agency and pay for the new agency startup package. Sounds like a pretty good deal, $20,000.
$20,000 is for
4 ground units and 2 airships equipped with the package so that they can conduct searches north and south.
so that anyone that would have a brace or either
As long as we were in the technology, we can decode it. And as a member agency, we are members on behalf of virtually every city in the county. So each individual city does not have to do it.
Oh, this is great.
So the 3 that are already member cities can still remain member cities with a few extra benefits. They have their own local equipment. But what we proposed was that the Sheriff's Department has a 24-hour communications bureau that can put people on call and respond with this capability and save them
That's
money.
great.
The one thing that's missing here that I did mention to Richard is we just need at least a few $1,000s we can sit in a pot of money somewhere to draw from if we have to activate on overtime. Because the people who will be on call will be responding generally from home.
I know enough to know the sheriff says just a small little pot of money here for overtime. We're not talking, we're talking,
There's no fee unless we get called out.
huh?
There's no fees if we don't get called out.
Yeah, okay,
It's used.
yeah.
Right, I have a question. So does the $3,000 include training that is required for the officers who are designated to be part of this team?
The operators, yes, including the helicopter observers have to be trained specially. That's included in there.
Wow.
And does the training include actual interaction with people who have developmental cognitive?
No, it's all focused on the technology, on the IT and how to conduct the search, triangulation, using airship and ground units. No, not that different.
Can we attach that to this?
Project Lifesaver themselves doesn't offer that. I mean, again, they're just focused on the technology. It would be probably a separate item.
And then also funding is requested to subsidize people who might, who get breaks.
Exactly, yes, and that's what we, actually, it's not indicated here in the description, that's something that we need to revise, but what we're recommending is that there be a $10,000 budget per year for this initiative to help subsidize bracelets in the
Yeah,
state
okay.
for low-income families.
Right.
So that would be our recommendation. That's something that we also didn't fully discuss since our last meeting or in previous meetings, so that's something else to run by the task force today to ensure that we're all on the same page with that. That's something that we do want to recommend, subsidies for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say yes.
So that has been incorporated into the budget or the planning recommendation request, so you know. It's just not included here as part of the description of this particular strategy.
And it did come up in the work groups. That was a suggestion.
Yes.
Each bracelet from Project Lifesaver was 300 and something. And that's a one-time, and then the battery. Did this group discuss the battery changing protocol?
I don't believe that the county is going to be capable of handling all the battery replacements. We
Okay.
recommended that families be left to handle that part.
And
That could be a breakdown. That could be a breakdown system.
Yeah, and the thing about Project Lifesaver is it does require a great deal of involvement and some education to the community who will be using the technology, because it does have that battery changing piece, and you have to keep up with it, and you have to make sure your loved one will wear their bracelet. So I think we've got, and I know I see this in here, but I think we have to really be sure that we don't have this great technology that gets funded and then no one's lining up at the door to use it, and or people are sort of falling off as they start to use it and then they don't use it. So I think that's going to have to be worked out, but just to be sure to keep that, that's got to be at the same level. I think the priority is educating, the sheriffs and the law enforcement is our community, making sure they're using it and they have the support to use it too.
It's almost incremental in my mind because I think we can really include capacity. And then I think there may be some of the service organizations, social service organizations, maybe can help partner in with keeping awareness and education. Maybe some of the care managers through the AAA programs could maybe even help with the purchase.
This is something maybe our home health care workers.
They could do that as well.
I'm just trying to think of people
The regional center
who
too.
are already visiting homes. Because, I mean, when you listen to the Glendale folks, right, it was really about visiting the home and getting a relationship. I mean, they used it for law enforcement, getting a relationship with the person. But it's almost like you need some, county employees that are already kind of visiting homes, or have that, know how to do that, or social workers, or,
But it could come under the unit,
yeah,
because part of the responsibility is to oversee the provision of training.
yeah,
And so to be part of
Yeah.
one of those tasks,
yeah.
making sure that the batteries are changed, keeping track
Yep.
and making sure that there's someone to go out and make sure to do that. That could be part of that.
Yeah.
And so this needs to be delineated in the report, that would be part of it.
Yeah.
And I think just to add, we have also strategy about preventing behavioral training, preventive behavioral training strategy. So partly it can be also addressed
Yeah.
by implementing
It
strategy.
just needs to be delineated.
Well, it looks like a strategy C4 to me, that's why I looked at this as an IT solution item, as opposed to training, which is really C4, and fall into that.
Exactly.
So-
But I think, again, I'm a big fan of this. When I know there's weaknesses in all the systems, but for me, this was the one that, I would want, that would give the most chance of locating a wandering family member pretty quickly. Yes, you have to keep the batteries. Yes, they have to wear it. Yes, but plus all the protocol that you recommend put in place, this one still feels to me like, man, especially if the sheriffs are ready to roll with 2 ground and 2 air support with the technology, boom. And all you need is one person wearing this bracelet to go missing, and chances are you could probably locate them. So this one to me offers the most positive.
This is on one's fund, they can be done within the same quarter.
Yeah,
It's quick.
love that.
And I think you're right, under C4.
Yeah, again, I think we're focusing in B on technology only.
Yeah, I agree.
I was just gonna say, Glendale, who's so involved right now, their helicopter's down, it's not working right now. So if we had a mutual aid, they would be, no problem, they would be using the sheriff as needed.
Can't hurt.
Yeah.
All right, any other final comments or questions? Project Vice or comments? All right, moving along to strategy B2, proactive registry, leveraging and integrating direct study data to explore the possibility of developing and implementing an electronic communication platform that integrates with the county computing environment to track individuals reported missing. Any questions or concerns about this one? Comments on the
Yeah, I think earlier on Supervisor had mentioned about the possibility of developing the county system itself for registry and integrating with tracking devices in. So this would be the strategy that can use both county-based system that uses the county computer environment, and we consulted with our IT manager to have some creative ideas. The concept is to develop it and integrate it with the tracking devices to have a dashboard system, and can also track information for a proactive intervention to give advices and design training strategies. I think that would be a very good strategy. That particular strategy may need some funding and support from the CEO so that the computer platform can be placed.
question in the back? Bruce?
I think that there are existing technologies that can be incorporated with the county. Existing databases that with various technologies could be integrated with the computer systems, so they look like they're coming right from the county. And the benefit of using an existing system is that not only does it work in the county, it works all of California, as well as all over the United States and anywhere there's internet.
Adrian, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're
I think you notice it says leveraging and integrating. I feel like this needs more assessment. I feel like we've been learning there's a lot of strong systems. When we have medical alert come, we've heard about the PERSA system as well. So Rita has a registry that's actually getting a lot of attention. attention nationally, and they're starting to share their platform. There's a lot of interesting possibilities. I was very taken by ReadyNet too, just because already it's got a lot of connections. I think we need the IT person to help us, kind of look at pros and cons. So I feel like we need more time to study and make sure we take advantage of what exists. The county flyer was really helpful, in telling us about the patient care record that you all do. Any 911 call gets put in a database. So I just feel like there's a lot of potential already out there. So I think this needs more attention, more attention.
And that's exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly. That's what this is.
911, right.
And literature says we gotta have a registry. I mean, that's sort of central to this whole thing that we're trying to do. So we do need this. This is, I think, really critical. But we have a lot of potential options. We just need more study.
You mentioned that there is some discussion on the national statewide registry that
There's a union right now in Sacramento looking to suggest policy for to mandate a special needs registry. And they're going to be meeting with Santa Clarita to see what they do. I'm going to attend that because some of the folks from our task force are not so in favor of that. It may not be the best way to handle it, so I think we'll get some expertise to them as soon as we can. There's a meeting on that.
Any questions or comments?
The only comment I would make from experience, I agree with Dr. that trying to develop a system that does everything for you is not possible. Integrate. You have to interface with multiple systems. So if you do not interface with lost children or autism website, or because they're all collecting key information, you just need a certain part of it, and you have to use it. So I would highly suggest that. Consider that for a successful.
I totally agree, and also that the cost savings would be tremendous. So instead of like reinventing the wheel.
And that's why we did attach funding recommendations to this particular strategy, only because we know that there's going to be a lot of research and that needs to be done to review all that's available and determine exactly what programs can be interfaced and all of that. So there is a request for $75,000 for the first fiscal year, and with 45 for the following, and down to $15,000 for the final fiscal year. Moving along, we have priority strategy B3, which is personal technology resources, relaying alarm creating alarms, registries, tracking alerts. So direct from that in partnership with LAC Department of Aging to refine the technology resources for ease of use by families and caregivers to allow them to gain access to available services that can fit their budget. Please refer to NXC for information on technology resources. If you recall, we did provide you a list of the different resources that we've been able to locate. So that's something that's very handy, and we plan on elaborating on that.
That's technology. Change your battery.
So this one we included because we feel that although it seems at this point that the Harvard Lifesaver seems to be the ideal right now, I think there's room for further research to see if there are other potential systems that will really cater to the LA population. So that's what we're doing.
So how much longer? So you're ready to you want to keep researching. Like you don't want the sheriff right now to have that get that $20,000 and equip their.
No, we give them.
Oh.
That was really.
Okay. Okay. And you think some other device will?
Well, let's ask the task force, because I mean, this is one of our recommendations, so let's
How I said, we talked about this before, it's not the right solution in every environment. So
Right.
there are other options, GPS, electronic cellular base. So talked about
But we'll
posts
still
and
work
later.
with the equipment that you're,
That equipment is specific to Project Lifesaver
That's
and
what I mean.
transponders, right? So we have to have that for the families that want to go with that system, especially if they're on foothill communities, the desert, those type of communities. I know it's perfect, but maybe in more of an urban environment, you want GPS-based.
why wouldn't it be perfect everywhere?
It pings off, for example, the sound waves ping off the buildings downtown LA and puts out those are signals to call.
Oh, I
It's
see.
a different kind of
I
technology.
What about for like Catalina?
Catalina, it might work out there, especially in the rugged areas. It works pretty well. It's the same technology they use for hunting game. It works in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And so for that, it's good for remote areas. So we think having available options is
I see.
best for the county.
I see. So we would tell somebody in a remote area that they just select right one to do.
Sure.
Okay.
There is some technology options around the or about those other.
Yeah, that would be up from page 38, page 41.
Yeah.
Questions, comments? Yes, Bruce.
When the technology didn't work on the PowerPoint right there, that's like serious. That's what happened in the field. So there needs to be like a low-tech backup for all these things when the technology doesn't work.
And that's part of the concept here where we're, what Adrian mentioned, laying alarms, that there are alarms or other types of systems that we're going to
I like Alzheimer's Greater LA, it's really helpful in talking about, we sort of learn this layering approach, and so you want to do with the registry, you want to have a
Right.
Project Lifesaver bracelet,
Right.
and you want your caregiver to have
Yeah.
some kind of a GPS on their phone. So, and actually, we've had a member, when Susan Clark came, she had all three, she has them on her husband. And I think Kate's talked about the layering too. So it's something we've been learning from people that are actually living this right now.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, moving along, we are at E4. Biometrics, photos, facial recognition, fingerprints. So the recommendations to direct Sheriff's Department to use to integrate technology for vital biometrics, such as electronic photos, and fingerprinting, establishing the VAX, town council, and CEO's office. Again, it's not this is cost neutral strategy, and something that we would like the sheriffs to continue to research and look into.
And actually, the fingerprinting is a huge issue. The social workers, they've taken matters into their own hands at times, walking patients across the street to the lifespan office, getting in trouble, risking their jobs because within 4.5 hours they have family there every month, where the person has been in the hospital. We heard some horrendous stories. But there's all these different issues about fingerprinting. So I think there's policy recommendations we could make. I think there's changes needed. We've learned from our experts that sometimes you can kind of do some workarounds. Some cities in the county are excellent at that, have this rapport where they work it around all the time. And other parts of the county, they can never get fingerprints on someone at the hospital. So it's not consistent. Just throwing my 2 cents.
Yeah.
That one's a big one.
Okay, moving along. Any questions, comments before? Okay, B5, community alert system. Direct sheriffs in partnership with LAPD and other law enforcement agencies to determine the alert systems that best meet the needs for involving the community in searches for those who go missing. I believe this is the strategy where we feel that we need to do further work with CHP in determining how we could best utilize silver alert. Questions or comments on this?
I want to thank Heather for helping us understand the guidelines, and we just think in action, it still hasn't quite gotten there yet.
I think the main problem is that a vehicle is not usually associated with a number. Sometimes it is, but what the Amber Alert is a license plate number, because you have very limited characters up on that screen that change a message board system. system. They have that, there's 3 lines and then, not that many characters, so you can't get a long description. Plus, people always slow down to read these things, so it does, it's a traffic implication as well. But some way that we can sort of figure out how to put information up there in that limited space that is going to actually be relevant and help. Yeah.
One of these things is easy, not hard. Yeah.
Any more questions or comments? Okay, strategy B6 is provider databases, mutual aid, search and rescue dogs, and other similar systems. Direct sheriff's department to work with first responders on the procedural fairness with the use of rescue dogs, testing various existing databases, and on strengthening cooperation across jurisdictions to avoid time delays and responding to missing person incidents. So a lot of these strategies are kind of, intermingled with some of the other strategies. So again, this is one for sheriffs. Any questions or comments on this? Moving on to domain C, education and training. Priority strategy C1 is first responder education, 911 law enforcement, emergency medical services, and EMS fire. So this is one of our, in terms of funding recommendations, this is one of the larger pieces that we're recommending funding for. So I want to get your feedback on this particular one. Obviously, this is one of the most critical aspects that they wanted us to address. So first responder training, what we came up with for the budget was $300,000 for the first year, I believe, and I'm sorry, $250 and $200 for the remaining fiscal years. So I understand that there already has been training. That training has been done for many first responders. So I mean, that's taking into account that number is taking into account that everyone has to do the training. Okay, so that number can change. At the same time, too, though, what we focused on with the $300,000 was really more of the autistic part of it. So we also have to include the working with Alzheimer's patients and cognitive impairment. So depending upon exactly who we need to train for first responders, again, that number could change, but also we have to also look to increase that funding recommendation based on the training that's needed specific to cognitive impairment and Alzheimer's.
Rich, I'd like to suggest something. I'd like to see the task force comment on this, changing domain C to prevention, education, and training.
This is domain C?
Domain C, which is...
The idea of it including the word prevention.
Yes.
That's totally appropriate.
Yes, prevention, education, and training.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you calculate the budget for training? Do you have a special approach, model, practice?
We work first with the number of first responders.
Yes.
Then we determine how many trainings we completed for that based on 50 persons per training. Okay, so we got 380 trainings within the 3-year period initially to complete training for first responders. Then we use the rate of standard rate for most of the vendors that provide training this year.
Is this an individual training every how often? Or this is more like a training for trainers approach? I don't know what is the approach, because it could be more cost efficient if you use a capacity building approach versus a single training. I don't know.
Yeah, and for this particular recommendation, it would be for individual training. Again, up to 50 persons per actual training session. But yes, definitely, if we want to go the route of trainer, then that's something that we would have to consider, reanalyze and make a recommendation.
I want to take the opportunity to highlight how lucky we are to have Lieutenant Gannon as not just part of the task force, but in LA County. So directly speaking to the training, he has led efforts over the last 2 years in expanding training that specifically addresses de-escalation skill sets with regard to interactions with people who have developmental disabilities, Alzheimer's, but mental health issues. He is very modest and will not say it himself, but I would love to congratulate him and let you know that the number of sheriff deputies who have been trained over the last 2 years is up to 1,000 who would not otherwise be trained in this capacity of what we're talking about right now were it not for Lieutenant Gannon. So if you can just boast a little bit about and tell us.
The 1,000 is actually our crisis intervention training, which is a 3-2-hour class the department is putting on for everybody. In addition, we're augmenting it with an 8-hour course that we train 350 first responders. Actually, we're over that now. Kate handles our last segment, which is the 2-hour presentation law enforcement on working with people with autism. It's fantastic. It's been training like no other I've seen in my career. So much so that we were able to get regional training or affiliation with the Regional Community Policing Institute. So now it's offered law enforcement all of Southern California. But it's optional, it's not mandated. It's something that perhaps the group, whoever remains on, might like to come out and watch or participate in a session and see what you think. But it's good stuff. It involves Milo training simulators where for the first time in their careers, cops have to actually prove that they can de-escalate people and not just escalate incidents. And if all we ever do is practice with guns, weapons, our taser and our OC spray, then in a time of stress, studies say we're going to default to that which we train with. So we give them experience training with their mouth and being able to verbally de-escalate people and hopefully using less or no force. So much so that I have to mention that the Highway Patrol has joined us. They just had a Highway Patrol captain, a lieutenant, and they've been sending through multiple people in each of our classes now, so it's been great to see a great partner. So we appreciate your continued support.
Yeah, so this is not a theoretical budget. This is something that has actually been in practice with the Sheriff's Department about 2 years, all because of Lieutenant Gannon's leadership. And so I think that he partnered with you in coming up with this budget, and so did Kate with the training that she does, which is immensely valuable in saving lives. But I'd like to add on to that the Milo training machine system that they are using at the Sheriff's Department. I think that's something also if we can consider adding to our training. So right now there are 2 Milos. Can you talk about the Milos?
It's actually, we have Milo in the room at Industry Sheriff Station up in the Palmdale area. We have one as well. We have one at the Academy. It's a mobile version. But when you get in there, it's a full encompassed all surround sound and a large screen simulator session that the deputy has to perform, and the computer takes readings about how they react and the decisions they make, and it changes the outcome of the situation depending on how the officer or the deputy reacts to the stimuli or whatever's happening on the screen. But our problem has been we are grounded to those 2 locations, so it makes it difficult to reach the entire county. Whereas it'd be better if we're looking at a mobile simulator, which would require about a $45,000 trailer and about a $40,000 simulator to make it be able to take it all over the county. Spend a week at each sheriff station or highway patrol station we talked about, so they can reach all parts of the county. So that's something we're looking at in the future.
I'm going to keep talking until we shut up. So as a civilian, I'm not here to tell you what the best training method is, but having seen the deputies be trained through the Milo and have interacted with Kate's classes, I can attest that the Milo is as close to a one-on-one training that the officers can get, which seems to maximize efficacy and really impact their skill set, as opposed to doing what you had maybe suggested is doing compounded training where you train the trainer and somewhere the efficacy is lost. And so as much as we want to have what we are already looking at and finding, and Lieutenant Gannon has so much data that he has collected from the students who have rated the training and the efficacy of it. If we could just expand on it and not try and replace it with other archaic systems that we've used in the past, I really want to highlight, well, LA County is leading the way in that, Lieutenant Gannon is leading the way in that, and we didn't talk about it in the task force, but it's really important because from point A, when the person who we love goes missing, to the point that we hopefully find them, they are out in the streets. And if you have a child who's 300 pounds, who's severely autistic and nonverbal, the opportunity for misjudgment of his or her behavior can very easily lead to tragedy. And so for our first responders to have the training on how to assess a situation when they come upon someone who falls into the critical population that we are trying to address, it's not just how do we find them, it's what happens in between that time. And I think we've kind of scanned over that. That is my biggest priority. So I just want to say, if we're talking about budgets and who we want to suggest to the task force to really embrace the training component of it for our first responders, and if we can help to speed up the training process by providing another Milo system, and we can clone Kate. I'd really like to do that too. But if there's room for us to add that in there right now, since this is allegedly our last meeting, I'd like to really ask for support for the training and for the mechanism that he's already identified as a very effective mechanism.
So are you
It's in
saying?
there, right?
Is it?
Not specifically.
Simulator, no. Do we have an idea what that would cost?
Yes.
Oh, it's about 90 for the trailer and the simulator.
For mobile, right?
Mobile.
Yes.
The 19,000 people for law enforcement, is that, how many sheriff have? You have 16?
I mean, sworn or non-sworn.
9,000 LAPD, 10,000.
9,000 LAPD, 10,000 sheriff. It calls out fire. How many, is fire part of that number of people? Is that on top of?
LA City Fire has around 3,000 sworn, a little over 3,000 sworn.
So I want to make sure that this number is obviously not perfect, but as close to accurate as possible. So when we say law enforcement, first responders, EMS, fire, how many people are we actually talking about?
And highway control too. He's training highway control right
So-
now with the Milo.
So can we get an updated number on that? With a slight breakdown of 300K gets us, or over the whole 3 years, whatever it is, it hits LAPD, sheriff, fire, all of those things.
And I'll be working with them again.
Thank you.
Could the two existing Milos be adapted so that they could be put in the trailer?
They're going to be part of a continued regional training that's going on right now for that crisis intervention training. Possibly down the road, but the way that they're set up now is very effective where we are. It's just, that was always designed as just a regional asset. And unfortunately, it's becoming a countywide asset.
So, Lieutenant, how many people are going to do this training? How many people in the whole time?
Instructors, there's probably a half dozen currently.
Slightly providing this budget or funding recommendation request. Any other suggestions or recommendations for this strategy? C2, social service provider education, 2-in-1 AAA's long-term services supports. The recommendation is to direct LEAX to collaborate with stakeholders, such as DMH and PSS, under the Department of Aging. Legal centers and other key agencies provide focused education events to designated social services agencies. I think the initial thoughts were that we would do training similar to what we're talking about for law enforcement, but I mean, just realistically, I think we are looking at larger educational events for these, much also obviously not as comprehensive as the ones for law enforcement, but enough information, obviously, to provide them with the info that they need. So this is something that we have not attached funding to for either this one or healthcare provider education. We feel that the departments that
That's for fiscal year 19.
sorry, does it see you?
Yes.
Oh, my apologies. Okay. Tom, you want to help me?
This is not priority strategy, so initial.
Okay, gotcha. Yes, gotcha. My apologies. Yes. That's the reason why we did not request money for the first fiscal year, because it's not a priority. We're concentrating on the first responder education course. But then we would request funding for training for these specialty positions in social services. So 75,000 for again for fiscal year 1920 and 50,000 for 2021. And again, this is based on large forum type trainings. We're not talking about 20, 25 people. We're looking at 100 plus people to train at a time. Any concerns on that? Great. Same thing with C3. No funding associated with that, actually. We're hoping that the Department of Health Services will be able to coordinate these trainings and work with the steering committee to come up with curriculum for this particular training population.
If I may interject, that's already happening a little bit. The Hospital Association of Southern California changed their module on how they do HIPAA training to include specific examples of missing person cases. So it's already taking effect to some degree. That's pretty encouraging.
We talked about the legislative need of policy change partly to, because with this, it's about training long-term care facility staff, community care in healthcare facilities. So we have to work also with the licensing agencies, and these are at the state level, the state, CCL, like community care licensing, and the state Department of Public Health when it comes to licensing healthcare facilities. And training will be very much needed because people are missing from facilities, they don't know what to do, how to report it all. And it could actually become a requirement based on how the licensing agencies do.
And that's where also the protocol development would be really essential to ensure that once that is implemented, that is something that we use as a training tool once they do actually provide these trainings. Any questions? Holly?
Hi, I don't have a question. I just thought that maybe also engaging the Nursing Home Association, CAF, and the Assisted Living Associations, CALA, and, they do a lot of training with their members and they have resources. So if we brought materials to them, I think, or if we needed to bring them together to ask questions about how on earth some of these things happen and what do they do when somebody goes missing, not when someone goes missing, but what do they do when they find someone who they don't have an identity for, what's their process? We could probably engage them to do something like that.
That's awesome. So that's great. Thank you, Mom. Okay, we are on to the last domain, which is social engagement, our fancy word for outreach, and strategy D1, need awareness campaign, proclamation of the metro and district effect. So we have associated funding recommendations for this particular strategy. We did receive a quote for a toolkit campaign for this particular strategy. That's why we're looking at $350,000 for the initial fiscal year. This is everything that's included here. Everything from creating websites, social media, print media, all the things that are needed to really get the word out to the public about this issue. So worked with the state on getting some estimates as to how much it would cost. So what we're looking at again is about $250,000 this year, and I think it was $200 for the remaining 2 fiscal years.
We seem to be on the high side because I think it also means publications, developing publications in different languages. It's about outreach campaign, and filters will have to be developed and published.
We already have, identified other types of activities that would not require funding, such as the proclamations at this point in the day, for example. Also, having needed that will work with social media platforms, posting tweets on Facebook and Twitter, things of that nature. And of course, also enhancing the current BOLOH website to include additional critical information. So any questions or concerns on social engagement strategy?
I want to thank Rich for taking us through the report and taking it around in the all of those suggestions, so certainly we're taking this and they will be included to the extent possible in the final draft going to the board. Now I'd like Veronica to come up and talk about the final draft recommendation. Not sure what else.
Let's discuss that. I think at this point in time, I think we're looking at the vote.
Okay.
So if we're going to endorse this vote or not. So we can do it the hard way or we can do it the easy way. I'm sorry, what question?
Yeah, just real quick. Even though we're taking a vote, if we notice something out, and I'll talk to, I think this is the checklist is for the sheriffs.
Oh, okay.
Correct? There's a number in there for us, and I wasn't sure where they got that number for McLaren, which we don't operate.
Okay.
So if there's changes that need to occur, we will still have that opportunity?
Yes.
Yes?
Definitely.
Okay.
Okay. With that, any objections to the report? We'll start it that way. Any objections at all? All in favor of the BOLOH Task Force report? Aye. Great. Thank you so much.
I want to thank Supervisor Khan, the staff, Nancy, for being Nancy's family throughout the process. Thank you. You made it something personal for all of us, and we really appreciate it.
Well, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Supervisor Hahn for having the motion and getting this started. I'd really like to thank all of you for not just showing up at these meetings, but really participating. This is remarkable. This is government really working. It's quite impressive and thank you very much.
All are to be congratulated for being here for making this happen, because it is remarkable. And I personally want to thank you all for devoting your time and your effort, and just you're putting on your thinking caps and thinking outside the box, because this would not have happened without all of you providing the input. This is the end of a task force. Rarely happens. We live on forever. But thank you all, but you will be hearing from us in the future as we move forward toward this research. Thank you and happy holidays, everyone.